my personal career, where have I gotten 5 years after an MBA? The outcome was beyond my wildest dreams. These are the top 8 things that I would tell you to consider if you're actually thinking about an MBA and deciding whether it is worth it for you. What is your ambition in life? What are your career goals or your professional goals? Do not pursue an MBA if it is merely for the prestige or the title that you are after. There's a good chance that you will not finish it because it takes true motivation and determination to make it through the year. So where do you want to be in your life? Where do you want to be in 5 years? Is an MBA going to get you there? What is your current financial situation? It is a serious consideration. An MBA, regardless of which school you attend, not a cheap exercise. You need to think in advance, you need to save up, and you need to consider how is it going to impact your financial situation for the duration of doing that degree. It is also not worth it to ruin yourself financially just for pursuing a degree if you can maybe perhaps postpone it with a couple of years or pursue a different degree that is much more attainable, that is perhaps going to get you the same career goals. In your current job, what does your career growth look like? Can you perhaps get where you want to be without an MBA? Or do you perhaps feel stuck? That you feel that you need something else to propel your career forward. It's not going to happen organically. How does your family feel about it? If you have a family, if you have kids, it's going to significantly impact their lives as well, not just yours. It will be a family discussion. It is not just a single discussion that you make in isolation. It will have a big impact on your life. I was married, and yes, my marriage survives an MBA. I will be talking about this as well. But there were certain sacrifices and certain conversations that had to be had beforehand in order to prepare for the year. Are you willing to put your relationships beyond family aside for a while? Are you an extrovert? Do you love socializing? Are you willing to give up a lot of your socializing with friends or family to actually put in that time to study and work on assignments? Like I said before, an MBA is not difficult. It's about time management and dedication. So it means there's a lot of sacrifices involved. Do you realistically have the time? So I did the full-time MBA and I had to give up my job. Many of the MBAs are over 2 years and you can do it part-time while you're working. But it means after hours, weekends, early mornings, that's when you have to put in the time to actually work through the content and get your assignments done. Do you realistically have the time, or might you be actually wasting your money because you might just have to give up halfway through because you just don't have the time? Is your job or your life or something in your life so demanding that it will impact the time that you can dedicate to this degree? Your location and the business schools around you. What does it look like? Can you attend in person? Can you attend online? How do they compare? Do you have the option to look at schools beyond your immediate environment? Maybe in another province, in another state, maybe an international level, maybe an online MBA from a different university in a completely different continent. What are your options? What do you want to do? And then the last thing that you really need to look at is working out your own ROI, return on investment. So there are 3 things that I would consider there. The first thing is, what is your current salary and where do you see your salary growing after an MBA? What is the cost of the MBA program that you are looking at? If you have to give up your job, perhaps for a full-time MBA, what is the loss of salary that you will experience? Have you looked at people in your industry or in your job that has done an MBA before, and what do their prospects look like after an MBA? What is their salary earnings? What is the difference between where you are now and where you think you can be? And then look 5 years down the line. I always like scenario cases. And I drew up a scenario where I did not do an MBA and where I could potentially end up 5 years from, well, that was 7 years ago, but where I could potentially end up 5 years later. What does that look like? What will I be earning? What can I realistically achieve in the next 5 years if I do not do an MBA but I pursue perhaps a different diploma or degree in nursing? And then I draw up a scenario and I say, okay, if I do an MBA, this is what I'm going to be losing in income. This is what I'm going to be paying for the course. If you do it part-time, you will not necessarily lose an income, but perhaps you have to take it down to fewer hours or a part-time job to make the time for an MBA. Whatever your situation is, Just look at the costs that you will be spending on an MBA and what potential income you might be losing. And then you compare the situation. What does it look like? When I looked back after 5 years of completing my MBA, I had a 380% return on investment in terms of where my salary went to after an MBA, how it has been growing ever since, and where I would have been if I stayed in nursing. If you are still a little bit on the fence, check out my upcoming video about the basics of an MBA program and what the typical curriculum is like to know what exactly you can expect from it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.